Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silent Podcast, the place where everything but silent. I'm your host, Isaiah, back again with the Bounce Checks crew for a Big Brother Canada Season 11 podcast. As usual, I have my co-host, Katie, here. Katie, what's going on?
Not too much. Excited to be here, as
All
usual.
right. As usual, Josie, she's studying, so she could not show up today, but
Just
we have
being
a
a good
very special.
student.
Yes, but we got we got a very special guest in the building, Kevin. Kevin, what's going on?
Only room for one Canadian here today, I guess. I'm excited to hang out. It was quite the week of BB Can, and I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, it was a week for sure. All over the place inside the house, on social media. It's been a Big Brother Canada week, so it's crazy. But before we even get into the show, Kevin, I wanted to ask you, because I mean you've been busy on RHAP, shout out to you. I'm mad. I need to tell Rob, put me on an episode when you're on there, because I've only been doing daily digital daily.
There isn't a lot of time, Isaiah.
I know I'm going to be putting in a request. Anyway, how is like watching it as a fan now that you're like an alumni now?
It's different. It's definitely different. I think there are a couple things to it. One is I'm a lot more critical of it, or at least I was the first few episodes. I'm podcasting, and I gotta have my notepad, my digital notepad out. I gotta be ready to go. And then throughout the season, I've started to enjoy it more. I think that it does give a different perspective having done it. And I don't know, I'm really loving it. I had a weird thought today. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to watch BB25. I assume I'll be grinding the feeds. I assume, but I had a thought today. I was like, I don't know. So there's something different, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
How come you don't think you're going to watch BB25?
It's very involved.
Yeah,
I love Big
true.
Brother. I'm going to watch it. What am I talking about? I'm going to watch it. I don't know if I'll be watching the feeds, and I don't know if some of the scenes I've enjoyed most of Big Brother are when I'm just like watching on Twitter and watching an episode here and there and keeping up with everything that's going on and tuning in when things are good and tuning out when they get a little stagnant. So that might be my approach.
I think that's a good approach.
Very, I'm unfortunately have an unhealthy addiction with this show, so I can't do that. But I commend you.
I'm getting married. I'm getting married this summer. Like,
oh yeah, you have more important things, way more important things to do than watch Big Brother.
What am I gonna? I'm gonna have my phone out at the reception, watching like some people talk about waffles. I don't know.
I've always wanted to know. So what, like, did you have to do to get that puzzle in the back? Like, who did you have to contact?
I know. I love that it's watching over us.
I've always wanted to know, like, how did you get your hands on it?
So the way I got on the show was I've actually been manipulating the production team for years. Like, I've just installed my people in there, and now whatever I need, they send it to me. So that comp ended. That comp was made because I was like, hey, I want you all to do a show for me. I want you to honor me in the first week. It has to be the first week, and then send me. This is just one of 10 of these in my apartment.
Amazing. Are you gonna get the portrait as well? I love the portrait.
Yeah, the portrait's coming home.
I'm a fan of the portrait.
That's gonna hang in most of my apartment. It's just gonna cover the whole thing.
Great. It should be no other way.
But so we've had a pretty crazy week. I'm not going to break down every little bit. We're going to more so just talk about everyone individually, sort of, and give them their own little shine, because it's not a lot of people left anymore. We could start with, of course, our eliminated players, starting with Queen, Kuzi. If anyone hasn't had the opportunity to, we have uploaded our exit interview press today, so you can see our interview with Kuzi. But Kuzi, she's gone. There's a lot of sadness, but it's also like, dang, like, Kuzi, you really could have avoided this probably if you did certain things. Katie, how do you feel about Kuzi's week? Like, this is a pretty eventful week for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of said it, right? Like, she could have done a lot to avoid it, and I think it's sad that she's gone, but it feels like she played herself into the position that she was in to leave, so it almost like takes the sadness out. It's not like she was like totally screwed over and then, put in a corner that she couldn't get out of. She kind of put herself in the corner. I don't know. I think that she made a lot of missteps along the way. Unfortunately, I think she came out really guns blazing in the beginning and she was playing a really great game, and then I think it just flamed out a little bit. So I'm really sad to see her go. She was probably my favorite player of the season, and she was a great character on the show. But I think she did it to herself, unfortunately.
How you feel about it, Kevin?
Same. I mean, she very much. We'll see how the next couple weeks go. There is a lot of game to be played, even though we're near the end. But she very much was the face of the season. I think that she had such a good social game, like so good, and unfortunately the crown didn't win power, and she was seen as, people might not have identified that group, but she was, at least they did with her, Daniel and Anika, like she was seen as the leader there. And once people knew how good of a game she was playing, it was almost like she was doomed. But part of her gaining all that social capital was the kind of in your face, I'll tell you what I think, I'll be who I am, I'll be hilarious in the DR like personality. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think she had a chance almost to stay off the block this week if she didn't go for that $1,000 and tried her hardest to win to keep Tai on the block. Like, it just felt like Renee wasn't 100% convinced until that happened. But Isaiah, I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed her as a character, and I thought that she had a lot of good moments this season. But my biggest complaint when it came to her mind with strategy is that she obviously saw that Nika and Daniel, like, they were very close. She always felt like the bottom of that trio, and I mean, she didn't really actively do much about it yet, and that's fine. But I never really saw her try to like actively lock in a final two with anyone. And we see her week after week send people home that actually did want to work with her. Like, saw Satina say she wanted to take her to the end. Jonathan, Hope, even Tai said that he wanted to take her to the end, and she said, like, I can get you the final four, and then, whatever happens happens. Like, I really felt like she needed to like lock something in to have one person at least have her back no matter what. And I feel like that's also going to kind of hurt her at the end of the day. It's like, this week specifically, you got the girly pops all looking for each other. Daniel and Anika are only going to look for each other. Tai, even though he's going to look out for you, he's ultimately going to look out for himself. So, I feel like that was definitely one of the weaknesses in her strategy. But I mean, what are you going to do?
You want to take out the gummy bears? Because I do. So let's just pretend I have three over here. There was a time in the game where the people saw the game as the girly pops, Daniel, Anika, and Kuzi behind the mic. Daniel, Anika, and Kuzi, and then there was this sort of loose Hope, Santina, Tai, and I think her mistake was not recognizing. I think she knew that that Hope, Santina, Tai, Daniel, and Anika all had her back, but I think the girly pops were kind of working with her, and her error was not saving that group. Because even if she defected, even if she said to Santina, Tai, Hope, like, I don't think Hope would at that point in the game. Let's if she could even lock in that four without Hope knowing, she really would have been in a better position. And with Santina, Tai, and Hope winning comps, like, she might have made a run.
Yeah. I think her not bringing Santina into the crown was probably one of her bigger mistakes. And when she had the HOH that week, even though she didn't make nominations, I think her biggest mistake would have been nominating Tai and Santina. Like, she should have nominated Claudia and Renee, or Shania and Renee, or Claudia, whatever combination of the three of them. The loyalty to the girly pops that week kind of didn't really make much sense, and it didn't pay off. Like, Daniel got all the credit for passing the safety to Claudia when it just, it did nothing for her game other than weaken her, because Santina really wanted to work with her.
Oh my God, that would have been such a fun final two.
Yeah,
Santina,
that would have been so fun. We got robbed.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, we got robbed.
Yeah, that would have been our Allison and Jean moment, man. That would have been crazy. But what are you going to do? So, another thing, obviously, I feel like the house was definitely on her back. You know, the moment Renee got that HOH, you know, anytime she's alone with anyone, like she's gonna go talk to Renee, oh, she's plotting. We need to get her out of here. Anika, you know, slipping like some information like, oh, some people see you as a threat, and then her not getting the names and feeling iffy about it. Oh, that Kuzi, we need to get Kuzi out of here. And it's just like, you know, I think that Kuzi's threat level definitely finally caught up to her, and I don't think that there was any way of her like really dialing that back at this point. So,
couple things there, I think
go for
also
it.
is our buddy Sasha sent out a tweet being like Kuzi has to go and tell them or tell Renee that Daniel used the secret veto on Ty. It might have bought her around, but I think really her threat management was the problem, and that even
Yeah.
if she survived another round or two, like how could you sit with her at the end? At least, I mean, all the people who wanted to, other than Ty, are gone. So I think the problem was that everybody saw her as this big threat.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you're going around the house saying "I fear nobody" and all that stuff, like, what are you going to do? You know. But lastly, I mean, we're kind of seeing a little damage kind of being put into the cracks. She kind of has this pitch after, of course, telling Renee to shut up and sit down. I thought that was hilarious. We see that Claudia and Renee at some point are actually like considering saving Kuzi for a little bit, and not really honoring the Nika and Daniel plan that they had. Now Shania, I'm gonna get that right. So Shania kind of was like, I'm not with that. Like, we're not doing this. I never really thought that there was gonna be a chance of anything turning around. But if Claudia and Renee like could have pulled this off, is this a good or bad move for them?
I don't think it's the worst move. I think clearly Anika and Daniel and Kuzi were on the outs with each other, and Kuzi needed to land somewhere. Why not bring Kuzi into that group and have it, you know, 3 versus those two? Because Ty would have been in that group too. Like, it would have been much more powerful than Daniel and Anika on their own. Like, Ty was going wherever Kuzi was going, and he's still kind of in with Claudia, I guess. I'm like a little bit confused about that relationship, but yeah, I think it probably would have been a good decision because I don't know the way that it worked out necessarily is for the best, but we'll see.
I'm gonna officiate their marriage. The they had to take her out for the girly pops. I think getting Kuzi was the right move. It's just like in that round with her and Ty being these sort of the people who up to that point had been really good at comps. You just got to take one out that round. The execution of it, like I don't really love nominating Anika as a pawn there. I actually would have nominated Ty and Kuzi together, but like she made a good pitch. But especially when you start comparing information from the campaign and it doesn't line up, like obviously the girly pops are going to talk to each other. It's like you can't really rely on that, and this was not where they blew it.
Yeah, the campaign was a little not great from Kuzi throughout the week. That was a little bit rough. It just, she had no shot, and then just kind of watching her tell different stories to everybody, and then them all comparing information. That was a little rough.
Pretty cool recovery to go from really upsetting Renee at the veto ceremony to like they're best friends, and
right?
Kuzi, I think Renee is her like number 2 or something like that.
Yeah,
a potential winner.
She was actually like today because we asked her.
I haven't listened.
We were like, yo, so Kuzi, if you had the opportunity, like, was that final 2 of Renee real? She was like, hell no. So, like,
yeah.
So you know that I thought that was really funny, but you know, what do you know? Like, it all comes down to these comps, but you know, the only other thing that I can really think of is, you know, the whole veto situation. Kuzi obviously goes for the 1,000 and talks to her family member and all that, and everyone was like, such a bad move. But I mean, was it a bad move? Like, how do you guys feel about that? If you're put in that situation, Kevin, like, are you going for that 1,000 or no?
I'm never a fan of going for the money in these comps. Not just because it affects your chance to win, but also because it makes you a target. I just think it's another thing that can be part of the narrative. It's like, Kuzi's already gotten that $1,000. Like, let's send her out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, that was,
Um,
I think that if she wasn't already most likely going on the block, one, she knew that she was going to probably be the replacement nominee, so she should have done whatever she could to win. But two, keep Ty on the block. Like, I know she wanted Ty to stay, but that is against what every other person in the house wants. Like, it just feels like you just got to kind of go with it at that stage, and at least like not give people a reason to target you, right? Like Kevin, exactly what you're saying. And not only does she have the money, but it's like she's not working with all of us to try and get Ty out, so then we may as well put her up on the block instead. It's like not the best
Don't
decision.
tell anybody. If you do,
Right.
yeah,
if you do take it,
Right.
don't tell anybody.
Right.
Just
yeah.
keep it to yourself. But I would have been in that first. I probably would have lost that comp, obviously. But I would have been. I would have been in that comp, just like ignoring the dogs, ignoring Jillian. I just
The dogs would have gotten me, I think.
I'd be in tears. Just I wouldn't have. I would have even looked at the dogs,
Oh, they were so cute.
except for puzzle pieces. I would have been in tears with seeing a loved one, and then just
Mhm.
doing the puzzle with tears in
Yeah.
my eyes.
I was impressed by Ty basically ignoring his mom the entire time. That was like impressive.
He gave
was
her a
like,
hug.
okay. Yeah, I
It's
know,
the
but it
right
was
thing
like
to
very,
do.
no, it was absolutely the right thing to do, and it paid off, but it was just funny to watch it in the moment.
But okay, you know, I think,
Shania went for the outfit.
yeah,
I
Actually,
know,
like,
that
I-
is the worst. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you wearing this outfit? Just go to the store.
I've seen people be like, you can put, she like put the clothes that she found on the way on there, but I don't know.
Yeah, that was wild.
But so I mean, out of the individual people, I think that we're going to spend the most time here. But moving on, so we have the next person that's actually voted out, which is Shania. Crazy sequence of events. We just see Kuzi out, and we're going to see a Claudia HOH here. And I don't know if anyone else expected this. I, for some reason, felt like she might have considered honoring the final four that they made with Daniel and Anika.
I thought so.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked that we saw both of them go up. Was this like what was she thinking here? Because I feel like Ty is easily the person that needs to go up here, and then you put either Daniel or Anika. Like I didn't really understand that move whatsoever, because if Daniel or Anika have to be the replacement, they're at least going to understand. But now going into the next week, they're going to be like, "Oh, you try to take a shot at us on purpose. Now I'm going to start coming after you." So what was Claudia thinking? Was this the right move, Katie, or was this a big flop?
Ty had to go up. I mean, Ty has won how many vetoes now at this point? How many competitions? He's got to be the nominee, because she just wasn't thinking through the numbers appropriately. Like, if he wins the veto, then he can't be the replacement, and then you're going to have to put one of your allies up and risk them going home, and the votes are not in your favor at that point. Like, it just was not a smart move. Ty had to go up, because then at least if he used the veto on himself, he then could have she could have put then Daniel or Anika up as the replacement, but instead one of the two of them, Ty used the veto on them, one of her girls had to go up and go home. It was just really just not, I don't think she thought that through at all.
Yeah. And ultimately, we're going to see Ty win completely out of nowhere. Obviously he was like the favorite to win any challenge at this point, but my God, like on TV, I'm just like, if he really thought about it, like if he uses this veto, he can really ruin Claudia's HOH. I'm seeing Anika and Daniel, like they're crying, they're hugging, they're saying goodbye, they're not even strategizing. I'm just like this is straightforward.
Get
right
in there.
Yeah, I was
Get in that
confused
room.
why they're not even talking, right? Like I thought that was very wild. And they just kind of leave the game in Ty's hands at that point, right? What was Daniel and Anika thinking here? Because at least Anika, okay, but like Daniel specifically, I was like, I feel like Daniel would have at least tried to like pivot immediately, like I felt like he almost like gave up at that point, and I don't know, I didn't like that.
What I found is the first time there's a double eviction, you kind of freeze up, and it's new and intense, and you don't know what's going on. Like I remember we had Gino and Jess on the block, and like I slightly wanted I wanted Jess to stay, and Moose was going around being like just being like, we're all good, we're all good on Gino, we're all good on Gino, just around the house. And because it feels so intense, like you kind of just go with things. This was then the second time in our triple last year. There's a little bit more time to work, because the game slows down a little bit. You've seen it before. This was the first double they had this year, probably because of the walks, and it felt like Daniel and Anika were frozen because of that. They hadn't had the experience. They've done the safety chain, but they didn't have that time to like slow down, consider your options, know that there are probably people who want similar things to you. Instead, they were like, oh,
Yeah. Plus, they probably, I mean, I don't know, would you assume if you were them that Ty would use the veto on one of you and that both of you would be safe at the end of the day? I don't think I would have assumed that. So they probably just thought they were done. But I mean, you got to go talk to Ty.
Why not try?
Yeah, you got to try.
There's game to be played. What do you get? Like, stop, go.
I mean, I've been saying this, but like, I felt my issue with this duo, it's like, obviously they're always going to be taking each other to the end. I mean, like, that's cool, but I felt like, especially this week, they really just got so comfortable that like every time I see them on the show, they're just kind of like sitting around, not really like doing anything. I'm just like, wouldn't you guys want to like strategize with people at least? Like once your anchor of Kuzi's gone, who's winning all the comps, Hope's gone, who wins some comps, you know, like all these people on your alliance are like the compies. You guys are like the strategists. Once all those people are gone, what are you going to do? And I feel like that's always been their like Achilles heel. I'm really afraid for the both of them at this point because it feels like unless Ty is like willing to like carry you guys to a certain distance, like you guys aren't really going to win anything unless like Daniel's the only person out of those two that has won something, and it was like what an escape room challenge. He said like, oh, I worked at escape room, so I have knowledge of this.
It was the secret veto, right?
Yeah. So I'm just like, well, you know what's going to happen here. Like I'm a little afraid for them. They need to start making some bonds. They don't really have many connections as they thought. They thought they were close with Renee. I mean, they thought they were close with Claudia and Shania. Obviously, that's not working out. So I don't know. I've my winner stock for Daniel and Anika, they're getting a little low here. I thought there was pretty clear that they won, that at least Daniel had a good shot at winning. I'm not really sure anymore.
Pretty worrying that Kuzi seems to have left, being like having both of them really low, on Daniel even lower on her list, because again she's going to have that influence in the jury. But there are 2 weeks left. There is game to be played. It's a lot slower. But there is game to be played.
We've also seen a lot of the jury so far talk about how they're not really sure about Anika and her game, and if you know Kuzi goes in there and she tries to poison the jury against Daniel, I don't even know if Daniel has a good shot anymore. You know, it's kind of spooky at this point. We've heard both Shania and Kuzi say that they kind of hope that if Ty is in the end, that their jury votes are going to go towards him. That's big. You know, that's really big because this guy's not even in an alliance with anyone right now. So
not only that, but Kuzi's pulling for Ty. It's not even like if he's there, she wants him at the end. She wants him to win. So she's going to have a lot of influence, I think, over the people that are in the jury. I don't know that. I mean, Ty, I think, severed some of the relationships in that house. Like in the jury house, I don't know how Santina really feels about him. Like, I think it could be a rough road for him to. It depends who he's sitting next to, I think. But I could also see Kuzi taking a lot of credit for the things that Daniel and Anika have contributed to and taking some of the agency away from them in the jury. So I think it is going to be a tough road ahead for sure.
That's a scary thing about just having Kuzi going without one of them going in. She has at least a week at this point to just like completely flip Hope in there and Jonathan in there, be like, oh, they betrayed the crown. They have these side deals. Get them out of here. Like, all we know, Shania could be like, hey, we had a final four. Like, well, you know what's going on here? Like, it could be really bad, man. So not good.
These next 2 evictions are going to be big for how the jury goes, because the structure of this jury is very much like people are bringing more info as they come, which you'd expect. But whoever's out in 5th and whoever's out in 4th are going to have a lot of information to bring that can change the game.
Yeah. I don't even think it's that bitter of a jury either. They seem really like open to voting, a lot of people, but I think they're really going to value gameplay here. So it's interesting. But so enough of those two. We have 2 other sets of people to talk about. We can talk about the other duo left in the game because, as I said, Ty, you know, he uses the veto on Anika, and then Shania goes up. And Shania, I'm just kind of like, I was kind of confused by this. This is the girly pop section of the pod. Shania, I thought that there's no way Claudia eliminates her. And it seems like she was kind of like just telling her, like, it's okay, you could take me out. I was like, why would you do that? Because I feel like you were not going to even go. I think that she's more beneficial to Claudia's game. She can win more comps. Renee just won her first thing, but she's not really a comp beast. I have more comments about the HOH in general when I get to Claudia, but why did Shania I can't get the name. Why
Get
is
it together,
Shania,
8-Ball.
Nay, nay.
why did Nay?
When I
That's a
say
joke,
nay,
man.
you say nay.
Why did she do that? What's going on there? What do you think, Kevin?
You're broken. It's 55 days. You haven't been outside that much. It's you're not together. And I don't like the deserve to be there conversation. Everyone deserves to be there if they're there.
Yeah.
However, I think this was a premeditated move. I think Claudia had planned that if this came up, she was gonna keep Renee for whatever reasons, whether it be Ty pushing for that or something else. I don't think this was in the moment she decided. Oh, there was though. How am I supposed to choose?
I'm a little bit confused about it only because we have seen conversations between Shania and Claudia about how much better of a chance Renee has to win. So you would think if Claudia wants to win, Shania is a better person to win against. Take her to the end. You're going to beat her no matter. Anybody's beating Shania. It sounds like everybody in the jury didn't have high thoughts on Shania's game. So I think it was probably the wrong decision. I think she probably should have put Renee up. She has a better story, but I don't know. Shania gave her the go ahead of just like, yeah, no, Renee deserves it.
I mean, even looking at this, going into next week, because you're HOH, it's Renee versus the world right now. I think that I would keep Shania around just to try to win that competition with her comp history. Now you're going to have Renee going against Ty, Daniel, and Anika. That I don't know how I feel about those odds, but
what are Ty's noms?
Ty, I mean, I feel like Claudia has to go up and Renee is going to go up. He's
always
said. He even said to Kuzi, he was like, as long as those girls leave before I do, then I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like he's really targeting on them, and he's like, I really don't rock with y'all. Like y'all need to go first.
I mean, if he is comp focused, then yeah, it's probably the right move.
Yeah,
I think Ty has a really interesting. I wanted to ask both of your opinion. I guess Isaiah, we kind of just got yours, but Ty could go either way right now. He could go toward one side or the other side, and he can really make such a huge difference. And it's kind of in between on who it feels like he would rather be loyal to. His relationship with Claudia is interesting. She put him on the block when she was HOH. They broke up, but they're kind of like still, who knows what's really going on with their relationship. But hasn't had a good relationship with Renee. Renee definitely wants him out. Does he stick with Daniel and Anika? Is that a safer move for him, or does he stick with the girls? Like, I think he has a choice for sure ahead of him, and I don't really know which way he's going to go.
Strategically, he's just got to take out the competitors. Like Claudia is far and away the best of the group.
She's gotta go.
And then I think Daniel and Renee are sort of similar, although Renee seems to have a better mental comp game. It's just take out Claudia or whichever of Renee or Daniel you think are there, try to get to HOH part 3 with Anika.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I would lean towards the Daniel and Anika side only because at this point, if Ty loses any challenge, like he's going home, in my opinion. Let me, because this cast doesn't make the best decision. So actually, I don't know about that. But common sense leads me to think that, right? So
good decisions are overrated.
They are. And I feel like Daniel and Anika have no shot of ever beating Ty in a competition where, Claudia or Renee might be able to like squeeze one in when you're not expecting it. So, and I mean, there's no.
It's HOH part 3 for him.
Yeah.
It's you're right. He's gone. It's HOH part 3, and if he studies well and wins it, he'll win the game. And if he loses it, it's
yeah.
And well, here's the thing, though. I mean, who did he take off the block? Anika?
Yes.
They kind of owe him a little bit. Like, is that saving like buying a little favor with him? Like,
I don't know
the
if they
girls took a
care.
shot. Isn't that who you would kind of go for first? Like, Ty saved you. I mean, it's too late to say like take care of Ty later. There's so many there's no opportunity to get this guy out. I mean, that's the other thing. He's gonna comp out, right?
I mean, I think Daniel has the keys in this duo, right? And
Yeah.
you know, if history shows itself, Daniel can sometimes get a little emotional when it comes to like people playing in his face, or if he feels
Yep.
iffy about something. So it really depends on him. If he's like, look, Ty is playing a great game, but these other people just try to take me out. So like, I don't really trust Claudia anymore. It really depends on what Daniel wants at this point.
Mhm.
I don't really see any other option though. Like I don't think Daniel. Well, if Daniel can get around it, I mean, I feel like Daniel and everybody left in the game needs to take Ty out first and
Yeah.
foremost. There's no way around it. But yeah, I don't know. Like this is a very crazy final five. Like I don't like. There's not one real direction that this is going in.
It's weird.
It's very weird. Like I don't even know
Yeah.
who's winning at this point. But
I mean, that's good. That's
it
good.
is.
Yeah, it's been
It
fun.
is.
I don't want to know.
So how do we feel about Claudia and Renee, the other two parts of the Girly Pops? They're here. Claudia, not the best HOH, obviously. Like
No, not at all.
puts up the rest of the Crown members. Didn't really bank on the possibility of Ty winning veto. Ty plays in her face like the third time this season, as far as where. And like let's be honest, is Claudia going to try to work with Ty for a fourth time, or is she finally cutting this relationship off? Like, are we going to see her on his lap again next week? Or
Yeah,
like...
I mean, I think we'll see her on his lap again next week, but I don't know if that means they're going to be working together. Those are two different statements, I think.
She doesn't really have any options.
Yeah.
She nominated Daniel and Anika, and she has Renee, and like she has to work with him, and it's up to him whether he does it or not.
If I were her, I would try. I mean, if you could make a final two with Ty, at least he's winning competitions. He doesn't have anybody right now. If you can just solidify it and just maybe like agree to get rid of Renee, which is probably is not the best thing for your game, but if that's what Ty wants, like maybe he'll take you to the end and then you have a shot. But she really doesn't have a lot of options. I think she really burned the bridge with Daniel and Anika for sure.
And these are two very different players. I don't see Claudia and Renee as similar at all. Claudia, I think, has been very straightforward throughout the game. She'll often bring things up if she's uncomfortable with it. Like, she's open to having those conversations. She's been in pretty clear groups to the whole house. Renee is Renee. Like, she's been back and forth and on the bottom and made way too big of a deal of the, what's it called? The dead last. To the point where it became her identity. Like, she is not the same. She's doing her own thing, whatever it is. I think she's very entertaining, but I don't have them as the same. She also like maybe has a final two with Daniel, which is not real at all. Like, who knows what's going on?
Yeah. I like Renee actually. I wonder if she has a chance of winning the season if she gets to the end, because I know that she's fought with a lot of people. But look, I'm here for it if she gets there.
I think she's done a really good job of kind of using that dead last thing to her benefit and like crafting this narrative of almost like a Betty a little bit of just like, look at everything that I've gone through and I made it here. Like, she built herself a story, even though she hasn't really had a ton of influence on the game. Like, she has built herself a really good story for the end. So I think like Anika doesn't have that, right? Like, I think she beats Anika for sure. Like, I think she definitely has a shot.
A lot more than she had a couple days ago.
Definitely. Yeah. That HOH really helped too. Plus, she got rid of Kuzi. I mean, that's a huge resume builder right there. So,
well, she got rid of Kuzi, but is Jerry going to respect that if Kuzi's like, F this girl, we're not voting?
But I don't think Kuzi's feeling that way. It seems like she's not feeling like that.
I think she likes it. I think she's Kuzi's
game respects
the type of person.
game.
Yeah.
They did. They definitely like hugged it out. She said that she respected her. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, when she was leaving, she said she was rooting for Renee, right?
Well, to her face,
sort of.
Yeah,
to her face. Well, yeah.
But yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know. And then so that's those two. Ty, there's not really a lot to talk about here. Like we kind of already said what we need to say. He needs to comp his way to the end, but I'm a little bit more confident in Ty now. Like it's really funny, and I tweeted this, but Satina and Ty's like stocks have like completely changed over the last few weeks, where they were from like uber villains, and they still are villains to me, but everyone's like, I think I'm rooting for Ty now, like it's really crazy. But that was a really strategic move last night. Like I didn't know if he had the gall to do it, but he did it, and it was a fantastic move, fantastic television. I feel a lot better about Ty, but like I said, he just needs to comp his way there. But is there a chance for Ty to be the winner of this season, guys? Like how do you feel about it, Katie?
Totally. I think there's totally a chance. And I think he also has a great story of playing this game completely by himself and just having to rely only on himself to win. It's interesting. I have been anti-Ty since the beginning, but you're kind of right, Isaiah. He's become a very interesting player to watch. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily rooting for him, but if he gets there, he fought his ass off to get there, and he deserves it for sure. Like, I think he could definitely win. Plus, he has even Shania, who does not like Ty at all, blames him for her eviction, said she would vote for Ty if he got to the end. So he's got the votes, I think, for sure.
He's the front runner.
Yeah.
He has to win one of two comps this week, and then one of two comps next week, and he only has 4 other people this week and 3 other people next week, and like, he's gonna do it, and then he's gonna win HOH part 1, and then the hardest thing is gonna be HOH part 3. But if he wins HOH part 1, he might have 3, 4, 5 days to study, and if that's all he does,
he's got nothing else to do. He's not hanging out with anybody. He even was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not talking to Renee. Doesn't matter. I'm going on the block." Like, he's not even playing the game in the way he did with Claudia. Yeah, it's like, what else is he going to do but study? I think he's going to get there. It just depends on how familiar he is with kind of the end game, but it's super fascinating. I find him really interesting to watch.
The fact
you don't see players like him that often.
No, it's cool. The fact that he smiled when he voted out Shania, like that's a very intense night. It's a very intense night, and I was at home with my heart beating, and he went to he's had a big
he's
smile.
Having fun, man.
Yeah, like that's dangerous.
Yeah. Like my favorite part from last week was when he's talking to Claudia, and he's like, "I already know I'm going up. I'm gonna have to dust all y'all in the veto." Like,
right. I know. She's like, "You're not even gonna talk to Renee," and he's like, "Not about the game.
No.
I already know."
I didn't watch the daily today, but it was from the day before, and apparently he like didn't even pack or something. Like, he just.
The arrogance is kind of amazing. Like, it makes for really good TV.
No, he's a super villain for sure, but like, I'm here for it. Like, I personally, I'm team villains like every season. So even though like I wasn't sure, like the whole walkout week, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this guy, but he grew on me. Like he stayed. He went from walking out the door to possibly walking to the finish line. So
that just like, this is a game show, really changed his mindset. It's all he needed, that pep talk to give himself. This is a game show.
Oh man. The last thing actually about Ty, now that I think about it, even though we still don't really know what they do, Kuzi gave all her Wendy's points to Ty. So all those Wendy's points that Kuzi accumulated over weeks, Ty has all of them now. So we don't know what that means. I don't know if that means lifetime Wendy's or if that means like secret veto, right? Like, I don't know what that means at this point, but that could be a saving grace and possibly a big game changer for Ty if it's a power, So
I think it's going to be food. Kevin, what do you think it's going to be?
So?
I think it's going to be food.
For a long time, I thought it was going to be an advantage in the final 4 HOH because last year the Red Door was the Wendy's thing. But now, when I think about it, I realize that would mean that the winner of the final 5 HOH wouldn't participate. But I do think it's going to be comp related.
Okay.
Comp advantage. Okay.
Yeah.
My 2 guesses. The first one, not really realistic, but if they did like a Survivor thing where you can eliminate a jury vote, that would be crazy.
I like that.
my second one wasn't really a game advantage, but like if they just gave like money away, like it was like see as money. This is Wendy's money. This is the whoever gets the most points gets Wendy's money. I don't know. But
I think
the
it's going to be
late
a feast, end of week
a
feast, and you get
feast.
to spend your points on the Wendy's food that you
Wow.
want to eat.
I think it's going to be important. I think it's going to make a difference.
I hope it's important.
They've hid it from us this entire time. It has to be important, right? Like
Yeah, I think if it was food, we would know.
yeah.
We would
Vote
know.
Like you've
someone
had us
off the
vote
jury.
every week. Oh my god,
Mm.
that'd be crazy.
I hate jury vote outs.
Yes.
I don't like them. As a general rule, it's just like
Imagine Dan waiting this whole time to vote, and now you can't vote anymore. Sorry, bro. Like that would be crazy.
That would be
imagine
horrible.
getting to the final, not tribal council, final to the finale, and then being like, peace.
Right? Oh, all that for nothing.
Mess.
They did that on Survivor Australia this year, and they lost one of their best characters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
I didn't
like
watch, but I heard about it.
a fan favorite got voted off the jury
Yeah.
and wasn't
heard
at the.
about that.
It's like okay.
But that's it kind of for the players. So I guess we can ask like the last few things. So predictions for this week. I mean, who's our favorite to win the HOH? I think
Ty.
it's gonna be Ty, but like also I mean let's look at the comp history. Like what was the last HOH? That was mental, I guess. You think? Memory?
Yeah, it was the well, the double was memory, right?
Yeah.
And then the one before that was the quiz.
So what if it's a physical HOH? Yeah. Ty's,
Yeah, I think it's
Just
gonna be
trying to
Ty.
think about what kind of final five physical HOH it could be. Like
Maybe endurance. Is there an endurance?
what was the final
maybe?
five for you guys?
it was a quiz. It was the
Ah.
speech. PB Can typically does the speeches, but I would guess that's probably final four.
Mm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If they're going to do speeches final four, then it has to be physical at this point. Like I don't know. It has. I feel like it's
Have
got to
we
be
seen
physical.
anything purely physical? I mean, we saw the endurance thing where they're standing on the pole and holding on, but have we seen anything like super physical? I guess some of the
I mean,
videos have
a
been
lot
more
of them
physical.
kind of yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I loved in BB Can 9? There was this comp. It was so fun. I think it was the final four. It might have been the final five, where you take a step and then you're on a board, right? Like let's just say
Yeah.
it's a 5x5 board, 25 spaces. It's actually more than that. You take a step and then that step's out of play, and once you can't take any more steps, you're done. So you're like all
Oh, yeah, that
going
was
towards
fun.
one person or trying to block them off or like building your surface area or planning ahead. I thought that was a really fun comp. And what I liked about it was, and if I explained this terribly, tough shit. What I liked about it is that it's very sort of, it is kind of mental, but it is very equitable. Like no one has a huge advantage going into that.
Yeah.
And it's strategic, right?
Yeah.
I like that.
That's knight's chess. Is it the knight's move? Is that what that is? Where they have to move like a knight or whatever, and then when you land on it, they take away that block or something.
Something like
I don't know. Okay.
That might have been
Interesting.
BBU. Was that BBUS from a long time ago?
BBU has done it. I feel like Canada's done it too, though. I don't know.
They did. I know in Big Brother Canada 9 they did the balls in the thing, and everybody
okay.
was stacking up on Tara's ball. Maybe that something like that too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Because she was so mad that everybody was putting the balls in her thing.
I mean, who knows? They're actually I think they've come up with a lot of new comps this year. So.
Yeah, the comps have been pretty fun.
Yeah,
I find it comical the veto comps though, how like overly SpawnCon they are, but like it's like campy in a funny way.
It's cute.
Yeah, I like it.
I really like the sponsor challenge where you have to like repair a car and put bricks on a house and like I don't know what that was, but I like that one a lot actually. Okay. Oh, fun theory in the chat actually from GM. The more points you have, the more chances you get to practice for the next comp.
Oh, that's a good theory.
Yeah,
They
give them breakfast and they get time.
Yeah,
I like that.
We had that last year. They had I mean, it wasn't an advantage, but everyone was sleeping. I was practicing. I was like, screw you. Still lost.
Okay. The small prediction, but who do we think is going to be Canada. This is America. Canada's favorite player right now. I have mine, but I want to see what you guys
Jonathan.
say. That was mine too.
That's
So,
the chalk pick. I mean, the East Coast vote, like he's got to be the overwhelming favorite.
Yeah. Plus, he's just such a nice guy. Like what did he do wrong to anybody? You know, he's just a good dude.
Just like he's very accessible.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
If Marty could win it with his antics, Jonathan's taking it home.
Yeah. I thought Kuzi had a decent shot, although I'm not sure if the
social media.
I don't think the casuals are going.
They like it. They like it.
Yeah.
No.
I had to go to war for her this weekend.
A lot of people did.
Okay. And then lastly, how do we feel about the jury segment this week? We saw Santina with the rest of the guys, and they're comparing notes. Santina feels some type of way about Hope still didn't shake his hand and all of that. Do we like the jury segments?
You don't talk about camp. Santina is camp.
Santina is camp.
She's so funny. I just enjoy her doing her thing, which is she's unique. There ain't anybody like her. In terms of like the segment, I don't know. They seems very friendly and nice, and it seems like a good vacation.
I forgot Dan was in the house. No shade to Dan. He wasn't he didn't make a huge impact, and then I saw him. I was like, oh yeah, forgot about Dan.
Kind of speaks to the value of an early game HOH. Like if nothing else, that thing can kind of often gets you to the next stage of the game.
Yeah, totally.
It makes you wonder. I mean, we see Dan and Jonathan getting so close, but with Shania coming in, is that over? Like, are they done cooking every morning? Are we going to get back to Hope and Jonathan cooking mornings instead now?
Maybe.
Like, what's going on there?
I wouldn't know what goes on there.
Oh.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any last things we want to talk about before we start closing?
Yeah. Who do you guys think is going home this week? If you had to make a prediction.
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, if Ty doesn't win, Ty, but if Ty does, I think Renee is toast, personally. I think Renee is in danger here.
We're going to get a Renee HOH. Noms are going to be Daniel and Anika. Ty's going to win the veto.
Claudia.
No, the noms are going to be Ty and Daniel. Noms are going to be Ty and Anika. Ty's going to win the veto. Daniel's going to go up and go
home. Okay. They all seem to really like Daniel. That's why I wasn't so sure who would really be the one to take a shot at Daniel at this point. But it's very possible.
Nobody's safe.
I see Anika going.
Yeah.
This week, I think Anika's pretty vulnerable. I mean, they're all vulnerable except. Really, even though every single person in the house wants Ty out, I find him to be the least vulnerable because he is such a threat at competitions. I just see him saving himself either in the HOH or veto. So I could see Anika going, Daniel, really any one of them.
It's really that fifth place. Oh no, I don't know why my head went here. I was like, Anika is like Ashley Nolan from Survivor, Heroes, Healers, Hustlers.
Ashley Nolan.
And this is the time. I don't know why. I don't know.
Very specific.
And this is the time when you take out that person who may or may not be a jury threat, is kind of agreeable, don't want it, but at the end game, I don't know.
I like the train of thought.
I don't know how I got there.
Thank you for taking us on the
ride. Well, okay, there you have it. That is our podcast for week 8. If you aren't already, please follow all of our social media pages at Silent Podcast on mostly everything, or Silent_Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you're listening to this on the audio platform, you can rate it 5 stars if you enjoy what you like. But if you don't, just wait until you hear something that you do like and just don't rate it at all. We don't need any 4s or something messing up our algorithm. If you haven't already, please check out our exit interviews, like I said, with Kuzi and Shania. Yes, I got the name right this time. But Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. Fun time. Of course, where can people find you, and what are you getting into?
Me? I'm online at Kevin Ted Jacobs, and I'm getting into way too many things. So let's just leave it at that. I have a newsletter. It's in my pinned tweet. I'm rushing to get it out this week. It's been a week. I got a lot going on. I got a
What
lot
kind of
going
stuff
on,
are you going to be talking about in your newsletter?
in the newsletter, I have like a draft. I think I was talking about how Franny from Survivor really needs to diminish her threat level yesterday. I think, and then I don't remember what else. You know what? We'll see if the newsletter gets out at all this week.
Ball
I have faith in
game.
you.
I've been
Ball
busy.
game.
I've been busy.
Okay. All right, Katie, how about you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at RealSomeKatie. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSomeKatie with an underscore at the end. Just started playing the new Jedi Survivor game today. It's really fun. So check that out if you're into that kind of stuff. And then I'm here on Silent Podcast doing things. So check it out.
All right. And like usual, you can find me at 8Ball Bangers, usually talking about social media or people talking at me about, TV. So you can follow me there. And, you can find me here every week with Katie and usually Josie talking about Big Brother Canada. I think Jessica Milagros, I think she's joining us next week.
Oh,
so, we'll have more updates on that. But make sure you check that out. And The Love is Blind podcast. We just did our reunion last week. Oh my God. Netflix dropped the ball, but that's going to be posted, I believe, today. So keep a lookout for that. But yeah, so there you go. But until next week, I'm Isaiah. Have a good one. Bye.